It's your boy Daniel Lyons Evans, and the next episode starts right now.
May I introduce myself?
Welcome to the pride.
Welcome to the pride.
See the fire in my eyes. Yeah. Brothers need to stick together. As a team, we can make it wherever. Just tell me how you feel.
Yeah.
Just tell me if it's real.
Hey. What a time, what a time. What a time for a black man to be alive. Living in the struggle while trying to keep our composure. Killing each other while trying to look for that exposure. We all just want to make it, we should do it as a team. Build each other up and they can't even say a thing. Me and all my brothers just stuck together like glue. It's us against the world and you know what we finna do. Woo! Pop a bottle, we in here for celebration. We just wanna be the leaders that's pushing the generation. Take a seat and find your zone for the topic of conversation. Find a way for a positive revelation. Now this really ain't the time to be thinking about yourself, cause we just a bunch of hustlers that's trying to give out some help. We turn the cubs into lions inside of the den. Come and join the brotherhood if you really just wanna win. Hey.
Gina Harrell, your motivational strategist in the house. Welcome to my Embrace Life podcast. I have my special guest here with me. Would you like to introduce yourself?
My name is Daniel Lyons Evans.
That's all you're gonna say. What is your accolades, sir? What's his accolades?
So my accolades. Okay, so I'm a motivational speaker, a life coach as well. I am a financial strategist, entrepreneur at heart. You know, a lot of people already, you know, if you know me, talk show host. So I do a little bit of everything. I'm kind of a chameleon. One-stop shop, chameleon shop over here.
But y'all know I always talk about being the lady of many hats. And I thought I had a lot of hats, y'all. He had way more than I do. And but today we are promoting his new book that just came out called Pride of the Lion. And you know, we're gonna talk a little bit about his books and his magazines that he's also doing as well. And would you like to explain your projects to everybody?
So the projects are called Pride of the Lion. It's a spinoff of my actual business, The Lion's Pride. And it's a three-part project. I have the book that's finally out, Pride of the Lion, the book. And I have the Pride of the Lion, the magazine that's currently out, been out for over a year. And then the next project is Pride of the Lion, the movie. All three components go together, you know, to work together as a project to actually just implement some things from my talk show that I wanted to do, just to give other people opportunities to come in and get in on advertisement for their business, other entrepreneurs, and then give people a chance to kind of see a little bit of my story. You know, I think that everybody, you know, have a unique story that they bring to the table.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, you won't really know their story until, you know, they, you know, dead and gone. But, you know, so I'm gonna give people the upfront, raw cut story of my life, so they ain't got to get it on CNN or none of them other news programs after something happens. Oh, this is the real story. So you can read about my life in this new book, Pride of the Lion. You can hear about my life on one of my shows, Story Time Inside the Den. It's kind of an extension of why I just sit down and tell personal stories about my life and kind of some things that kind of help shape me to be who I am today, going back from my childhood up until now. And then as far as the business aspect, that you want to get in on some advertisement and entrepreneurship, the magazine is available out right now, and you can get in and advertise your business. But we just, you know, we doing some things in the communities and being able to be a ambassador for my community, man. I really love my people. You know, I patronize my people, man. I want to be able to just let them know that, you know, there is a platform available for the people who may not have that type of platform access to get in and be able to promote their business. So that's what we're doing here in the Lions Pride, bringing the enterprise to the people and allowing them to be part of this journey that we call life. And I experienced it with good friends like Miss Regina and other people I've met along the way. That's actually very instrumental to me being, on this journey to becoming what we trying to achieve in our life. So I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate some of your just being able to sit down and brainstorm with another entrepreneur that's similar, in stature what I do. So I really appreciate the opportunity to be on your platform.
Also, and it, y'all, is nothing wrong with helping one another. That's why they call it networking. A lot of people, they're afraid to network because they think somebody's gonna do better than them. Y'all, listen, I had to teach myself that every audience and every class is not everybody's. So my client may not be his and vice versa. So it's okay to network, because you never know what it's gonna blossom into. You never know what's gonna, do, and how it's gonna help you. So at the end of the day, let's talk about some of these life stories and stuff that you actually have in your book. You can, I guess, one that stick out the most dealing with your book.
So one of the most significant stories inside this book is the story about going to prison. A lot of people don't know this kind of stuff, and for a long time, I not say I was embarrassed about it, but people have a tendency to judge you based off your past and things like that. And I'm so thankful that God does not judge the outer appearance, but He judged the heart. So, so one of the stories that actually got this whole book started was going to prison. And I grew up in a double parent household. My mom and dad raised me and my brothers, 2 brothers and a sister, and I had two step sisters, or 2 other sisters that my dad had before he married my mom. And we grew up with a very tight-knit family. And so normally when you see somebody's path to prison, you would say, A plus B equals C. You say, okay, this person is like, you're going to eventually go to a prison because he ain't, living the right life. But when you have scenarios, a situation where someone is not nowhere near that path and they end up in a place, you figure out, well, what happened? Why did this person end up in this place? And some people can look at it as just as a negative thing, but I had to turn it and flip it around to a positive thing. I did 4 years in the Marine Corps, and that's in the book, the story about me going into the Marine Corps and things like that. Right. But after the Marine Corps, I started working for the Sheriff Department in Gulfport, Mississippi, and I thought I did everything right. I wanted to be a state trooper. Because the state trooper school, from what I heard, was comparable to being a Marine. You come out of the Marine Corps, you want to do something that's comparable to what you've already done. You want to be able to put that uniform on with pride and things like that. But me, being 23, 24 years old, I wanted to have some experience before I went out. So how do I get experience before I decide if I really want to do this full time? So the Sheriff Department was hiring. I had a cousin, Tremaine Merle, was already working for the Sheriff Department, and he got me in on an interview, and I started working for the Sheriff Department as a jailer, correction officer is the correct term, correction officer, and there was an opportunity I had to really connect with some of those people, and back in the days, man, I was very arrogant person. I was very judgmental of certain things, and those are the things that God had to really work with me on, being arrogant and judgmental. And I thought that, everybody in prison or jail was guilty. I thought that once bad, always bad. And I just had a lot of negative, thoughts about things. And so being in that environment, talking to those people, I had started noticing that when I came back from the Marine Corps, like, where are all the people I went to school with? Where they at? Like, where are my friends? People, the streets are kind of empty. You don't see people like you see. Like a ghost town. Ghost town. But what I discovered was when I started working at that job, all the people I was talking about, it was all locked up. Man, hey, man, where you at? I ain't seen you in a long time. Like, man, what you been doing? I've been in here. So just being able to, I grew up in the church, so people knew me as a preacher's kid. And they knew that, I didn't have, no street life or nothing like that. So meeting people at that part of your life and that part of my life, I really felt like there was a calling on my life. because I was able to go and kind of help, make their time easier, or kind of like give them some words of encouragement for them to keep going.
Yeah.
I did that throughout boot camp as well. My dad, always, he was a minister, so he was already preached to us all the time about things, and I took some of that and I used that in my everyday. But going to that prison, the county, and talking with those people, it really sparked someone inside of me. And so what ended up happening, I was there for about 3 years. I ended up resigning to pursue entrepreneurship. It was right after Hurricane Katrina, 05. 06 is actually when I actually ended up walking away from the job. But it was during the time where there was a lot of police brutality going on. And I say that, but when has there ever been a time where it wasn't a lot of police brutality going on?
Yeah.
But it was just a time where I was like really wanting to be in that uniform. But then something happened. Inmate by the name of Jesse Lee Williams was brought to the county, and 3 white officers put him in a restraint chair for over 20 plus hours, and they took him out, beat him real bad, and he ended up dying in the hospital on his way to the hospital. And his family filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the county and won. And then they had these big name lawyers that come from these lawyers come from up north who want to make a name for themselves. They took on the case and they started a witch hunt. If this person was wrongfully beat and killed, then how many other inmates might have been mistreated as well?
Yeah.
So we want to get it was a witch hunt from all, and when you're dealing with this type of charge, the first one that gives up the most names get the less time and all this kind of stuff. So I just wasn't really familiar with how the judicial system worked at that time, and I had faith in the judicial system at that time. And so even though I wasn't working at the prison at that time the incident occurred, it was a conspiracy charge. And a conspiracy charge is the hardest charge to defend because you don't have to be present for it to take place. I learned all this, on the fly. And so going through my situation, I had 8 white co-defendants, and I'm supposed to be going to trial against 8 white in South Mississippi now, where it's the most racist state in the United States.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel I was going to receive a fair trial because a week before they picked the jury selection, they had the story on CNN. Anderson Cooper did a story on it right before they picked the jury selection, and you're supposed to have a jury of your peers. Well, if I have 8 white co-defendants, then who the jury going to be the peers of? So me not feeling, me and my father and my family, my mother, we all went through this whole ordeal trying to decide what would be the best route for me to go to come out on the other side, and we went right before the trial. Had a court appointed attorney. I didn't know that they actually, they get paid to work with the, so it's like I was in a bad situation. Never had a lawyer because I never been in trouble. So it was no family lawyer. I just kind of went, and I just kind of had to go to God about it. And this is one thing about God. God had been calling me to a purpose all my life. And that's why I love your name, Embrace, because instead of me embracing my purpose, I was shying away from it.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be known as a preacher's kid. I didn't want to be known as a mini me of my daddy. I didn't want to be a replica of him. I wanted to make my own identity. And it's like, no matter how far I ran from trying to be like him, I ran directly into that same thing. It's almost like Jonah when he was trying to run from what God told him. And he ended up being spit out at the very same place because, I played football on my own. My daddy was a football star. I said, I'm going to the Marine Corps. Found out my daddy was in the Army. I'm like, I'm doing everything that he did, and I'm like trying, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm gonna try to speed the story up because a lot of this story is on my shows, Story Time Inside the Den. So after being an officer, God had to show me what the inmate feels like. After running from God from all this time and not being able to hear him because my life was so turned up, had to turn down the volume of my life. And I said on a radio show a couple of days ago that it was like the Verizon wireless guy. Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now?
And at the time I couldn't hear it because I had this going on, working 3 or 4 jobs, taking care of family, doing this, doing that. I didn't have time to sit still to even hear what God had for me. If I would have just took the time, then I don't feel like I had to go through that. But you know, the Bible says that the good shepherd will leave the 99 and go after that one. Right? And so this what happened with me. Life didn't equal prison, but I ended up being indicted by the federal government. And there's a clause that say if you don't feel like you're going to get a fair trial, you can plead guilty based off, you know, those actual, situations. They didn't have any evidence against me, but here's the thing about a prosecutor. If they can convince the jury, and the word is convince the jury that you did one thing wrong, then you're going to be put in the same boat as the other people. I think the head guy who beat the man got like life in prison. The second officer got like 20 years in prison. And the one who gave all the fake names and lying and cheating on everybody, I think they got like probation. Like they held the person just leaving down for them to beat on him. And she got like probation because she gave up like 6, 7, 8 names. I don't know how my name got put in it. But anyway, long story short, I'm indicted by the federal government, and when I'm on the yard for the first day on that prison, I'm looking at the barbed wire, and I'm like, oh, this is real. I did a self-surrender. I didn't have to be in handcuffs. I self-surrendered to the prison in Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas, and I went to the facility, and I can hear God say, can you hear me now?
Wow.
And I'm like, man, that right there was really humbling, because I could have been talking, listening to God all this time, but it took him to make me lie down in green pastures in the prison system for me to actually have the time to deal with what he had me dealing with at the time. And during the time I was married to my second wife, I had asked God to bless me with patience. What you do that for? God is a God that he does things in seed form. So if you ask for patience, he puts you in a situation where patience is necessary. And what more necessary to get patience is in prison, because you ain't got nothing to do. You ain't got nothing but time. And so I also asked him for a close-knit family. Bless my family would be closer. Okay, how you gonna get real close with your family when you got to get them commissary? So here's the thing. And this is all in the book. I was in prison, and I thought that I was just so upset and so heartbroken about being there in the first place, instead of embracing the cross. When Jesus went to Calvary, they were laughing because he embraced his cross, because he knew what he had to bear in order to get to the next level. And so I went going through there. I started, consecration, and some of the things to do in prison to do your time is I grew my hair out. I didn't get a haircut. I wanted to make sure that I wanted to mark the time that I was in there. Grew my hair out, and I started this Bible study. Some guy was coming to me saying, "Oh, we see how you're walking around. You're pretty solid. I want to. Can we be your disciples?" I'm like, disciples? What do you mean? Listen, it was so funny. I had long hair. The Mexicans was calling me Negro Jesus. Black Jesus, right? Right. And I had my beard grown long. I had my hair grown long, and I was teaching these guys the Bible. But it was one guy that stuck out in particular. This guy named Chris Johnson. He had been in there for about 7, 8 years on some drug charge stuff. And he was a small guy. He got that big man complex, small man complex, whatever, when you are really small and try to do big things. And I guess, I guess in prison, they got these boys that they call these boys. If you get caught talking to them boys, it's like the homosexual community. Right. Before LBGTQ came around, it was these boys, right? So I think that he had been tried by these boys once. And so he had a reputation of being with them boys. But I believe that people can change. And so what happened was he didn't like that. He didn't want that lifestyle, but they had already labeled him that. Yeah. And so he had a hard time trying to do his time because he had all these different people messing with him and bothering him and stuff like that. So when he met me, he was like, can you teach me the Bible? Because there's nobody here that's real. They all fake and phony. And you seem to be a real good guy, and I've been watching you. You don't have a double life or whatever like that. And so I started, ministering to this guy and showing him the Bible and things like that. And he asked me one day, what can he do to be saved? and I walked him through the Savior's prayer, the sinner's prayer, and he actually gave his life to Christ inside that prison, right? And this was during the time they was getting ready to have this 65% law, where you can actually do 65% of your time and they let you out with the new laws that came out with the drug laws and everything. And so after he got saved, he actually got accepted for early release.
Wow.
So he was only like maybe 2 years away from getting out, was before he was still like 20 years from getting out.
Wow.
He had done a lot of his time, and we became really good friends. And I remember before I left, I had 12 guys follow me around the prison.
Like the disciples.
12 guys following me around the prison that claimed to be, you know, my disciples and all that. And like I said, I didn't want none of that. I was just trying to do my time and go home to my family. So I got out of prison. They sentenced me to 36 months in federal prison. I did 2 years, 2 months, 2 weeks, and 2 days. I actually got released on April Fool's Day, 2010. I thought they were playing a game on me. I said, look, man, if I get to that front and y'all, man, I am going to probably catch a charge for real, because don't play with me like that. So they let me out, man, April 1st, 2010. And I got everybody's address and everybody's stuff before I left, so we can keep in contact and keep writing pen pals and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I was in the male, well, it was male prison, but I was in a quartet when I was there at the choir. So I did that to kind of, you know, pass the time. I wrote this book while I was in prison because I had a lot of time on my hands. You know what I'm saying? Patience is a virtue. So when I got home in the halfway house, I was supposed to be in the halfway house like 6 months. I was out of halfway house in like 2 weeks. I was out there in 2 weeks, but I had to pay for that monitor and all that kind of stuff, pay for my bed. But something happened. About 2 months after I got out, I was in home. I received a phone call from a young lady who said, "Is this Daniel Evans?" I said, "Yes, how can I help you?" And she just started crying. She said, "It's so nice to finally talk to you. My name is Mrs. Johnson, and I just want to let you know that my son Chris told me so much about you. You know, he told me that you helped him get saved. And I want to tell you thank you because, you know, he's had a hard time in prison and all this." So she gave me all the good stuff. Yeah. And then she tells me that he passed away on the weight yard.
Wow.
And I started crying. And I said, "Why? What happened?" I mean, like, oh, he was lifting weights and the weights crusted crazy. But I went. Accident. Yeah, it was a freak accident. But I went to God and I was asking him, like, you know, why? And it became clear to me. Your path to prison was to help that one person get saved. Wow. Because if you hadn't been there, he's been there 8 years before you even showed up, and he's been doing it. But because you was able to be in contact with this guy and you lived the right life in front of him, he was able to get saved. And his mama said, "I didn't know before, but now I know he's going to be in heaven." And when that happened, I was, it humbled me. Yeah. It humbled me to the point where I'm saying, you know, God said, "You are a seed sower. That's what your purpose is." And he talked to me while I was in prison, and I, you know, the Lion's Pride and all that kind of stuff was developed and born in prison. Right. Found out what the meaning of my name was. Daniel, God is my judge, judge is God. Makes me think, okay, why people always bring their problems to me, why people always bring a situation for me to fix it, and how I can see things from a perspective that I'm not supposed to be able to see things from. I can see things from a God perspective because it's all in my name. Right. And that right there was when I really realized that God would orchestrate your life to go away if he needs something done. And so I went to prison just for Mr. Chris Johnson, and I thank God for being a vessel to be used for him. And all this is in the book. And since that day, I have been an ambassador for being a seed sower. I've been doing life coach work all my life, but now I'm certified to do it so people can know that this is real. A lot of things I've been doing all my life, I never really knew why I was doing it. So motivating people. I was motivating people in boot camp, motivating people on my football team in high school, motivating people just throughout. And now I'm a motivational speaker. So everything in your life makes sense once you realize who you are and what your purpose in life is.
Yeah.
And that's really what Pride of the Lion is all about, because some people, you know, kind of put a negative thing, pride come before a fall. I'm not talking about being prideful. I'm talking about having pride in what you do. If God has given you something, you take that and you are proud of what God's given you, and you don't just neglect it or abuse it. You take pride in that God has given me a mission. I'm thankful that God has given me a mission. So the Lions Pride is all about having pride in what you do. But then I say, okay, everybody know about the Lions Pride, but what really gets me going? Pride of the Lion, because I have pride in what I do. And so I did this. I was doing this project. I say the book originally was named Being Called to the Ministry from Conception to Acceptance. That's what I was dealing with my whole time in prison. But I said that name may be a little bit dated. So what is relevant now in my life? Pride of the Lion. The magazine was already out. Let me just piggyback off that, make it a 3-part project, the book, and then the movie coming out. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the rest of these projects come out. But like I said, Miss Regina has been a very influential in helping me get some of these projects from out of my heart and soul into reality.
Right.
You know, I don't know nothing about writing a book. Don't know nothing about a magazine and things like that. And we were just talking earlier about this technology, doing shows and all that. Man, I don't know nothing. I started my show during the pandemic as a way to give men platforms to express our feelings. Right. Because we know in the African American community, men don't do what? We don't go to therapy. No. But when we get together, we talk about all our problems. We compare our problems to each other's situation. Oh man, I'm going through this way too. My wife did, and it's like, so how can we put this thing into a non-threatening form, or a place where they feel like they're not being judgment-free zone. So I started Inside the Den as like a man cave type conversation, talk about some of those man problems as used for therapy. But what I found out is what you make happen with somebody else, God will make happen for you. And so during the process of doing these interviews as therapy, guess what it became? It became therapeutic for me. Yeah. Right. I was able to be first partaker of the therapy, and I was able to talk with other men that was going through the same thing I was going through, and we were able to feed off each other. And during the process of having these interviews with these men, I met some young guys. Some guys that wanted me to mentor them and things like that. And one of my guys, Lord Fly, was on season 2 and season 3 of my show. He said, we're working on a movie, and we got a good script, and I think you'll be awesome as one of the characters. So I became an actor, in this whole process, because I prayed the prayer of Jabez, in 2016, 17, when I first got to North Carolina. Me and my wife at the time was doing our financial services business, doing taxes, and I started doing credit repair. Had the #1 U-Haul dealership in Smithfield, and I was praying a prayer of Jabez. And one of the things about that is your gifts will make room for you.
Yes, it will.
And all those things I've been praying about is now starting to come into fruition right now as I go into this next season of my life. Just turned 43 years old. 43 is a golden year for me because that was my high school football number. So I've been using 43 all my life. I used to sign my autograph when I was in high school and put 43 in it like I was a football star. And I'm like, one day I'm gonna actually be 43. So this is the year of 43. Yeah. And so just being able to see some of the fruits now, like being in movies, 2 talk shows, a book finally out, magazine finally out. The platform has been set and saturated for this thing to come out now, because in 2010 in the halfway house, who gonna read my book? Who gonna read my book if they don't even know who I am? Who gonna read the book if I don't even know who I am? That's true. And Gina asked me the other day, said, who was the first one to discover you? God discovered me, but when I discovered who I was as a man, that's when I was discovered. And so being able to be present in the now
Mm-hmm.
and be able to say that this is what I'm supposed to be here for has made the biggest difference in my life as it pertains to just being able to live a life that's better, not because of money or things like that, but because you can actually make an impact in other people's lives. A friend of mine from Mississippi, she was the first one to buy the book before it came out.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, I know it's gonna be good, so here go my $20, and she
Yeah.
paid it. And look, the poster had came out for my birthday last year on the 27th, but I ran into some issues and some problems, and I was like starting to get discouraged. Like, look, I got this woman money, and I ain't got no book.
Right.
I'm like, what can we do to get this book out, Regina? And we just kept working, and I almost gave up on the opportunity because the devil set in.
Right.
And I believe that a lot of us, we procrastinate because the devil started talking to us. And what happened to me was the devil said, who are you to put out a book? Who wants to hear your boring life? Who wants to hear a life of somebody who is not even where you're supposed to? It was, and I'm like, now you know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe I shouldn't be putting out no book. Maybe I got too much going on already as it is. Maybe people won't believe it because they think it's too good to be true. And I didn't do the book. I ain't tell you this, but I was intimidated, and the devil had tried to tell me that I wasn't worthy enough to even do anything. And then I had a friend on the phone, and he challenged me, and I was so angry with him, but he did his job. You know, just like when Jesus was dealing with going to Calvary, he says that told Judas that the devil has inquired about you. He wants to use you. He said, go do what you will, what you must. And he kind of gave Judas that whole push to go ahead and do. I know what you're going to do, so go ahead and do it. So dealing with this guy, you know, he actually brought some some intimidation in me. For a brief moment, I didn't want to do the book.
Right.
And it took me from August to December 31st. He was on the phone at
Yep.
night, like, look.
Yep.
And
He's like, no, I'm fat. Listen, I'm trying to get this thing out.
you know what I'm
Plant
saying?
me.
I had started to panic, but you know, God had to calm me down and say, it doesn't matter if whatever it is. You know how many people done put out books right now that you probably would never even know. You got people with mental illnesses putting out books. You got people, you know. So I said, you know what? And the reason why I knew it was gonna be powerful because this book done been stolen twice.
Wow.
I told you that. I had to edit it when I got out of prison in 2010. A friend of mine, his wife supposed to be editing it for me. And when she was editing it, she fell in love with it and said, this is a powerful book. She was going to charge me $100 to do the editing. And she said $500. How do you go from $100 to $500? So she tried to hold it hostage. So I'm like, man, let me say, I got to rewrite it. So for like 10 years, I lost interest because I was like, somebody stole my material. So I said, let me rewrite it. It's my book, it's my story. I can rewrite it. Got my cliff notes together, talked to Regina, and got it done. Then I had somebody else who wanted to edit it for free. Everything that's free is not for me.
Right.
Understand that free is not always good. So this person got the book and started editing. She said, well, I keep forgetting to edit it because it's a good read. So and he's like, $250 to get your book out. Like, are you kidding me? This is my book. $250, come on, man. So I'm like, let me get my book. I printed it off and I went on and I said, let me go ahead and get it out because if I don't get it out now, Regina, it's going to be stolen again.
Yep.
So I said, why would the devil try to discourage me to bring this book out? Why would it be stolen twice? Because it's got some powerfulness in it, right? And so the first woman who gave me $20 for it, for my book before it came out, she sowed a seed and she didn't know what she did for me. She sowed a seed. Then I got a cousin in Mississippi. She was in Germany at the time, but she's in Mississippi now, and she was the second person to purchase the book. That first person, she uses the book now as her daily bread. She said this book, she's in love with the book. So and I go back to that 99. If she was the only person that's supposed to be impacted, then I feel like the book is worth its weight in gold, right? So she called, I talked to her about the review. She said, man, I love this book. I read it 3 times, 4 times already. Now it's part of my daily bread. I love this book. This is an awesome, amazing book. And I'm like, I started feeling a whole lot better. Like, thank you, God, because the purpose has been revealed to me about all this. So that's kind of like the basis of how this book became about, and how I just wanted to tell my story because everybody has a story. But the reason why I feel like it didn't come out until now is because God was still writing the story.
Oh yeah.
If I had put it out prematurely, it wouldn't have been effective because it don't have everything in it that it needs to be in it, and it hasn't matured to a place where now the platform, like I said, is set for everything. It's all about timing. It's all about timing, and we want to be in a rush to do certain things. And God's saying, "I am the master of time. Let me do it in my timing." And He was the one that was in my ear saying, "All right, now this is the time. This is the time." And I said, "Okay." So I started doing it, and when it came out, it has been such a heavy burden has been lifted off my shoulders to be able to finally get this project out. And then when I got it out, I'm like, okay, now who's gonna read it? My family is very, very they're not big readers at all when it comes down to certain things. But my dad read it. He ordered 2 copies of it. Now he's inspired to write a book. You know what I'm saying? My brothers read it. My sister ordered copies of it. I'm like, man, my family is actually on board with this because so it really makes me feel good that everybody in my family is supporting it, and they can be of use, and they can be something they can be proud of. My dad, he might not be here, in the next 5 or 10 years, but I want to be able to leave that legacy behind. It says that this man, inspired me as a father to do this for the world, and I thank God for the opportunity to be able to talk to people. So
y'all, when I first met Daniel, matter of fact, I think it was through Facebook.
J-Lock. Yeah.
It was through Facebook and through J-Lock, and so when we all finally did meet, he had said something that I just took and ran with it. He said, "Build a legacy." He said, "Build an empire and have a legacy." I was like, never thought about that. And ever since then, I just took it and I ran with it because just like you, see, I'm shy. People can't tell that I'm shy like that. I'm really, really shy.
Speaking to the choir.
So, but it just seemed like the most stuff comes out of the shy person because we always, hold stuff inside until, one of the things that they used to pull like this and it flip in the air. I'm one of them. Yeah. And I flip in the air. When I flip in the air, I'm going to do what I, called to do. But, at the same token, this hibernation period, you've been in the prison. That was your hibernation period. Yeah. I always ask all my guests, my guests, what do you consider your Damascus road? And I feel like the prison was yours. Because that's the time where you're sitting still. Some stuff happened to you. Like it did with Saul before he became Paul. He went through some stuff. And once he came out of it, his name was changed. Not just his walk, not just his talk, but his name was changed. And, you went in as Daniel Evans. He came out Daniel Lion's Den.
That's it. And you get it. But yeah, that's definitely what happened to me. And I give God the glory because it wasn't for that. And somebody asked, would you do it again? I said, yes, I would. People talking negative about me. Oh, he got what he deserved. I said, what did I get? What did I deserve? What did I get? I got a second chance in life. I got all my debts paid when I went in prison. Because this is what I did. I asked God, I'm not guilty. Well, I gotta go to prison. I'm not guilty. He showed me Jesus being tried for being innocent. He showed me Joseph in the Bible who didn't do anything wrong. John the Baptist was beheaded for the gospel. So he said, and this is one of the things that I had to really meditate on and swallow. You're not guilty of this particular thing, but what have you done that you thought you got away with that you are guilty of? So we're not talking about just one thing. This is my chance to finally get you in a position. But if I wanted to charge you for everything you've done, son, you have life in prison right now. So you're not guilty for this thing, but you have been guilty, and you are guilty. You are guilty of my son's blood. So I had to swallow that. And every time I get mad about somebody and try to say what people done to me, he said, can you handle what my son did on the cross? If you can't, then you just keep your mouth quiet. That brings me back home into forgiveness, because I know that I can't endure what Jesus did on the cross. So no matter what somebody do to me, they haven't done anything to me more than what I've done to Jesus and what I've done disobeying. So I have to be humble when I deal with forgiveness, because I wasn't guilty of this, but I have been guilty before, and nothing happened no consequences. But now it's time to pay the piper.
Yeah,
And I think it was Malcolm X that said the chickens will come home to roost. This is the roost moment. This is the road to Damascus. This is the time when Paul got knocked off the beast, and he had to tell him, Jesus said, "Why are you persecuting me? I ain't done nothing to you. Who are you?" "Oh yeah, you done it to my people. You done it to me." So you have to really understand that, and you have to embrace that. So that's why I love Embrace so much, because when I realized what my cross was, I embraced it. Right? So I don't mind talking about my prison experience. I don't mind talking about somebody going in prison and coming out and being able to be successful, because black men feel like the system is against you and the white men holding you down, and you can't make it because you're a felon and all this kind of stuff. I'm here to tell you that you can make it life after prison.
Yeah.
You can be a convicted felon and be successful. You just got to know what you're doing, who you are, and your purpose in life, and God will orchestrate you. He will direct your path.
Yes, he will. Yes, he will. And just like you too, I've been in the military. I wasn't in the Marine, because Marine used to say Army stood for "I'm ready for Marines."
Yep, I'm ready for Marines. Yeah,
it's a negative, y'all. It's a negative. We stay ready, but but being in the military, we just like them, we were also conditioned for our enemy. And when I first went in, a woman of my caliber back then, it was like, "Why are you here? You don't belong here." You belong on the outside. But see, the thing was, I was being conditioned to my purpose, for my purpose, because it's a lot of stuff that I went through that I was questioning God. Why? I was angry, with God at one point in time. But God said, "It ain't about you. It's bigger than you." But you have to go through it, because when with the people sitting your way, you have to be the first partaker of your ministry. People not going to listen to you if they don't see you going through it yourself. People not going to listen to you if you ain't been through nothing.
Exactly.
So I can't go to a person that had been married before, and ain't been married before, try to give them marital advice. What? I can't do that. I have to actually been in a marriage before, or be in one now, and be like, okay, so I can tell you, I went through that too, and this what happened. That's all the purpose is, y'all. We actually have to go through this stuff, and if we don't go through it, like you said, who gonna listen to you?
Exactly.
And sometimes there's stuff that we just can't wait to get out, but because it has to marinate.
Yes.
Because when it marinates and you move in silence, and people see you like, wow. Because at the end of the day, God not only bless us, in private, he also bless us in public.
Yep.
So that's why it makes sense for us to go through in the public eye, so you can see the blessing in the public eye.
Amen. And just final thought for me is just, if you're going through something in life and you feel like, why me? You should be saying, try me. Because everything you're going through in life is not necessarily for you, it's for somebody else. That you haven't even met yet. The person you're going to be meeting is down the road. And you got to go through and get that t-shirt, get that pass that test, so you can have the testimony to tell somebody else. The Bible declares that we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and by the words of our testimony. So we have to have a testimony to attest to somebody else that they can do the same. They can overcome and they can get better. And I thank God for my tests and my testimony. I thank God for everything I've been through in life, what I'm going through currently, and what I'm going through in the future, because that is what shapes people to who we are and become today. And that's what I believe the purpose of this life is, to be able to give back and to be able to show somebody else the way that they might not know.
And personally, with this media stuff, I love the media platform, I do. But at the end of the day, it's not about the likes for me, it's about the views. Because the views, at least the person that got some type of nugget from you. They don't have to like everything. People ain't gonna like everything that we say. No. People can't handle stuff that we go through either. So it's not about the likes, y'all. It's about the views, because it's about reaching people. It's about reaching people.
Amen.
So I thank you for coming out with your projects to to encourage everyone. So just share with everyone how they can get it.
So Pride of the Lion, the book, is available on Lulu.com. And it's also available on Amazon.com as well. It's going to be on audiobook soon, but you can get the copy directly from the website, or you can hit me in my inbox and get it from me directly, and I'll be happy to sign and autograph it and give you your own personalized message inside the book for supporting me for over the years. So Proud of the Lion book is available, Lulu.com, Amazon.com, and directly from the Lions Pride.
Mm-hmm. And everybody that's on the YouTube family, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. You know, if you want to continue to see more videos like this, because there are more powerful people that I'm going to be bringing before you. Take these nuggets, y'all. We are here on purpose, for purpose. So until next time, we're out of here, y'all. Love y'all.